5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crouch, touch, set!
Welcome to this edition of This Week in Rugby with RugbyMag.com and Rugby Magazine. I'm Alex Goff, Editor-in-Chief of RugbyMag.com, and it's springtime, so what are we talking about? We're talking about playoffs. We're whittling down all those teams that had a shot, and now there's just fewer and fewer each week. We're down to about 48 clubs on the men's club side, and we're much even fewer than that on the college side. We'll also be talking a little bit about the National Sevens team, but first, let's talk college playoffs. Let's get started.
Well, first of all, congratulations to two women's college programs as they won national championships this past weekend, with Penn State University defeating Norwich 65-10 and denying Norwich a chance for a 7s-15s double, and Washington State coming back to the national championship arena and beating Winona State 60-22 in Division II. And Penn State University, well, they're used to this, aren't they? They have been in the national championship final in every year since 2004 and won it 6 times. Washington State, for their part, well, they won it back in 2010 and back again this year. Good job for both. In the men's collegiate championships, once again, we have a lot of different championships to look at, but we have two main ones that came to the fore this weekend. The Varsity Cup, which is the new competition outside of USA Rugby's sphere, and that final was held this past weekend at BYU's South Field in Provo, Utah. BYU taking on Cal, and this was a classic. And all kinds of exciting play, too. Check out this play. Starting with BYU deep in their own end, winning kind of a sloppy line out, but they decide to run it against Cal. Takes an awful lot of confidence to do that. Haseki Kofe and Paul Lasike linking up with flanker Cody Thompson. He's all involved in there. Again, Alec Gletzer, big tackle for Cal, but then they recycle it one more time, and then they're going to get it out to fly half Johnny Linehan. And Linehan is just going to chip it through. Jake Anderson coming in to get it. Where's the ball? Linehan grabs it, and he is in for a try that went 95 meters. Very few can do that against the Bears. A lot of penalties in this game, too. Cal really defended well and actually only gave up 2 tries in this game. But Linehan was deadly accurate with the boot. Takes his time to line it up, slots it through. Linehan had 4 penalties on the day. Cal gets a penalty of their own. A little bit of an infraction in the ruck, and it is a quick tap from Russell Webb. He dummies, and he's in for a try, and that's a critical one. Makes it 16-10 BYU at halftime. Another penalty from Linehan. He's not going to make any mistakes here today. 19-10 BYU leads, but there's going to be a comeback coming. You knew there would be. Cal scores a try to make it 19-17, and here on a critical defensive lineout, they do win the ball, but then turn it over in contact. Big rush up the middle by Kyle Sumption. Recycle quickly, and they get it out to TJ Allred, and he is tall enough and running hard enough to stretch over. Great try for BYU. 24-17 BYU leads. But then Cal strikes again. Great line out, great maul, and they recycle it quickly, and there's Jesse Milne, young center for Cal, bursting through. He's almost there, caught, but he pops it up to Seamus Kelly, the captain, and you think he's happy. That will tie the game with a conversion, 24-24, almost no time left. So now here it is. The game on the line, and time is up. BYU threatening the line from this scrum. Ryan Roundy goes in. He's taken down by Gletzer. Big ruck. Flanker Cody Thompson digs in there, and he's going to dig that ball out, pass it out to Linehan. Drop goal. No problem. And that is the game. Happy BYU. Heartbreak for Cal. Tremendous effort by both. So that's the Varsity Cup. BYU, quite possibly the best team in the nation, takes down number 1 ranked Cal, and probably be number 1 ranked after that. In the D1A competition, we had the semifinals. And in that one, Life University, kind of an upset to beat Arkansas State in Jonesboro, Arkansas, 18-13. And we have highlights of St. Mary's against Cal Poly in the other semifinal. St. Mary's starts it up with a scrum near the Cal Poly line. They got a solid platform, a switch in the middle field, easy try right under the posts. Probably the aspect of play to really notice St. Mary's was their defense. And look at this with the line out and maul from Cal Poly. They send in, I think, 12 players to shove that ball over. They do not get there. And then when they pick and go, again the defense is there. So then they send it out wide, and again the defense is there. Excellent defensive stand from the Gales. And if there's something that St. Mary's does really well with the ball in hand, it's offload out of the tackle. They run and they break tackles, and a nice little offload. Again, a score right under the post. They led 17-10 at halftime. They led 17-7 at halftime, but started to open it up in the second half. Plenty of space for the Gales to showcase their open field running skills, ball movement, tackle breaking. It's all there. Another great try. Cal Poly managed to run in a couple of tries of their own. This game would end 58-24 for the Gales, but this try from Cal Poly, probably their better one, a nice little recycle and a pick and go right up the middle. St. Mary's will take on Life University in Greensboro, North Carolina in the D1A final on May 18. On to the club playoffs now, and the brackets for the national rounds of 16 are set for every division. And we look at Division 3 first. Big thing to notice here is that several Division 1 teams have their Division 3 arm playing in the Division 3 playoffs. Austin Blacks, Old Blue New York, Belmont Shore, and San Francisco Golden Gate. In fact, Shore and Golden Gate will be playing each other. In Division 2, a big question there is whether Glendale will be able to play, because there is some question about whether they should have been allowed to play Nessie Malifa in one of their West playoff games. They believe they'd received a waiver. Then the West RFU seem to be saying they're not sure if that waiver was good, so there's a question there. Might be Glendale, might be St. Louis Bombers. Everything else is settled. Check out that matchup on the right, Snake River against Red Mountain. That will be a great first-round game. And in Division 1, the round of 32s are all set and done and dusted. Big wins for Old Puget Sound and for Belmont Shore on the West Coast. And Denver Barbarians did very well, as did the Dallas Harlequins, in getting to the round of 16. Austin Blacks had to struggle, 24-22 over Kansas City Blues, perhaps the closest game of the weekend. This is an excellent lineup of 16 teams.
When the US Sevens team went into Glasgow Sevens last week, they had one job. It was pretty clear they needed to finish at a higher level than Scotland, the host team. If they did that, they had an automatic bid back to being a core team for the 2013-2014 season. Not only did the USA do that, they did that in very impressive style. They won 2 games in pool play and were a little bit unlucky not to win 3, as they lost a close one to Wales. That put them into the top 8, and at the same time Scotland struggled to get into the top 8 on day 1. So by the end of Saturday, they'd actually achieved that goal. What was impressive about the performance on the weekend, though, was the fact that the USA team continued to play and ended up winning the plate, beating Fiji and Argentina on the way. We're seeing a lot of improved performances throughout the team. Nick Edwards, great on offense, better on defense. Shalom Suniula, much better in distributing the ball and becoming a playmaker. And Falau Niua was really coming to his own under the leadership of Matt Hawkins. Alex Magleby has got to be very happy with this, and they go into London really with no pressure, and it was an excellent way to end the season. I want to circle back a little bit and talk a little bit about the club playoffs. And what I mentioned earlier is that we're seeing a lot of Division III teams that are in the playoffs. They're actually Division III arms of Division I clubs. Now, is that an advantage? Well, it's hard to say, but it certainly is true that the Boston Irish Wolfhounds, Ombak, and New Orleans have all won national championships on the Division III level when they're really Division I clubs. There must be an advantage in some way. Certainly you're practicing against Division I players. You've got the same infrastructure, the same coaching. All of that certainly helps you. But is that a bad thing? Well, I don't think it really is a bad thing because we still have 12 out of the 16 teams being straight up Division III clubs. There's still plenty of competition there, and the idea is still to play the best competition available. Nessie Malifa on an injury rehab needed to get some starts. And now the question is whether he deserved or should have had a waiver. It certainly seems clear to me that you can't take a player who's been injured for close to a year and throw him into a Division I playoff game. Shouldn't he be able to get a way to ease his way into it? They do it in Major League Baseball, they do it in other major sports, they certainly do it in professional rugby all over the world. Why can't they do it in rugby in the United States? Seems to me, and if you've read the articles that I've written on RugbyMag.com, you won't be surprised to hear that I think we need to have fewer rules about player movement and more openness to allow players to play rugby. For RugbyMag.com, I'm Alex Goff with Zachary Halpern behind the camera, and you've been watching This Week in Rugby.